Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today we're playing Modern and we are going fast. This is Kuldotha Boros from subscriber Kevin. The goal with this deck is to put a lot of creatures into play and increase their power and kill your opponent very quickly. And it's got a bunch of ways to do that. First, let's start with the namesake of the deck and also an exciting new development. Kuldotha Rebirth is a sorcery from Scars of Mirrodin. 1 red, sack an artifact, create 3 1/1 goblins. This is exciting because new Phyrexia, or all will be one Phyrexia. New Phyrexia was years ago. The new Phyrexia set that is not new Phyrexia has given us another kind of functional actual upgrade, side grade to Kuldotha Rebirth. This is red, destroy target artifact. If you control that artifact, create 3 1/1 goblin, Phyrexian goblin creature tokens. All else being equal, assuming your spell just resolves, this is exactly the same as Kuldotha Rebirth. Your artifact ends up into the graveyard and you get 3 goblins. The difference is, of course, you could target an opponent's artifact, and in a format where Hammer and Amulet are both near the top of the format, having 1 red destroy target artifact in your main deck is not a bad upgrade. The functional change here is Kuldotha Rebirth sacking the artifact is part of the cost of casting the spell, and Gleeful Demolition, it destroys the artifact on resolution. So versus counterspells, Gleeful Demolition is better because you get to keep your artifact if it's countered, but against removal, your opponent can lightning bolt your Memnite in response to Gleeful Demolition to fizzle the spell. So just something to be aware of there. They are not functionally identical. It's pretty close, but there are some cases where we have to be careful. That's our main plan, to get a bunch of creatures into play. And now we get up to 8 copies of these. Kevin has balanced it that we have 7 and in favor of Gleeful Demolition for the modality of destroying an opponent's artifact. At 8, he was saying he was drawing a lot of these, but not a lot of artifacts to support them. Makes sense to back off a little bit. Then the pumping. Force of Virtue, the much maligned version of the Force Cycle from Modern Horizons. This one's slightly better than the red one. The others have seen some play. The black one is fringe playable in some black control decks or mono blacks kind of stuff. I've seen it, but obviously Force of Negation, Force of Vigor, huge parts of every format, they're legal. Force of Virtue, though, creatures you control get +1/+1, and you may exile this. You may exile a white card rather than pay this mana cost. There's not a whole lot of decks that want to 2-for-1 themselves to make their squad bigger at instant speed, but this is a deck that could create 3 creatures on turn 1. You could have 5 creatures on turn 2. This is the type of deck that really wants access to this effect, and it's got it. Another anthem for the team is Venerated Loxodon. You can convoke, you can get those 3 to 5 creatures by turn 2 and then convoke all of them and have a gigantic board state while adding a 4/4. This card was a big part of the standard formats it was legal in. And the classic Goblin Bushwhacker. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, creatures you control get +1/+0 haste until end of turn. That lets you Gleeful Demolition and Bushwhack. 3 mana represents 8 power coming in out of nowhere. Plus whatever else you had in play gets bumped as well. And the rest of the deck is artifacts and 1 and 0 drops to support this Gleeful Demolition, Bushwhacker, Glorious Anthem plan. The sideboard is just stuff that lines up against the format in ways you might expect. Sanctifier Invect, March of Otherworldly Light, Chalice of the Void. The exciting card in the sideboard is Tunnel Ignis. 2 mana, 2/1. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they take 3 damage. This makes fetch lands cost an extra 3 damage to use, and when you're coming at them as fast as this deck does, if an opponent has to fetch, shock, and take 3, like take 6 to put a land into play, that's a major cost. You put this into play against Amulet, it becomes really awkward to try to combo through it. I mean, they can do it, but if you put any pressure on them, if you back it up with Path to Exile, it could be a problem. I have not seen this card in a deck in a very long time, and I'm excited to play with it. And that's what we're doing here. Let's go put our foot on the metal. This is Kevin's Kuldotha Boros. I'm on the play for round 1. Gotta ship this no lander. Disappointed, because 1 land would set this off. Okay, 2 forces, Esper Sentinel, Kuldotha Rebirth. I think I'm in for this. I'm gonna keep this and actually bottom the Urza Saga, because there's this cool trick where you can cast Force of Virtue in response to an opponent's spell, and then they have to pay an extra 1 for Esper Sentinel. This hand's gonna draw some cards. Oh god, is this the mirror? This can't be real life. I am just gonna commit my force now, get it in, start pushing damage. I'm gonna drop another Sentinel. Any spell they cast is gonna get me right back into this game. Kind of a scrappy start here, but I think I'm okay with that. Alright, it's not the mirror. Thank goodness. We didn't queue into Kevin. The worst thing they can do for me is just play out a bunch of creatures and stuff these Sentinels. The scary thing here, though, is Esper Sentinel only triggers once per turn. So if they bolt one of these, take their medicine, just let me draw 2, they can bolt the other one. Legion Loyalist. This is a very similar deck to mine, which is very weird considering what a brew I'm on. I'm going to Thraben Inspector here, and then that gives me a clue that I can Gleefully Demolish next turn. This is definitely a Bushwhacker, Lethal Demolition mirror of some sort. Do I want to offer an Esper Sentinel for 2 Epicures? I think I do. Yeah, they didn't want to make that trade, which means that I correctly assessed that I wanted to offer it. If they have land Bushwhacker here, I'm in trouble. Burning Tree Emissary, uh-oh. Wow, just Emissary, burn off the mana, pass. That's not what they wanted to do, I promise. I'd love to see a Loxodon Hierarch. Okay, there's my Bushwhacker. I'm going to Rebirth here rather than Demolition, because Demolition can pick off their blood tokens and stuff later. And I'll get in with Thraben Inspector. No, that's a 1-for-1 trade. That just trades with Burning Tree Emissary if they double block. But I guess that is the biggest thing they have. Alright, I'll offer Inspector the trade with Burning Tree Emissary. Having a Whacker in hand makes it pretty appealing to just push damage wherever I can. Alright, they took the trade. That is the correct play, I believe. But my Glorious Anthem is dominating this game right now. They're functioning a little better than I am over there. But my things being 2-2 to their 1-1 is just insane. Alright, just a YOLO Bushwhacker trying to get some trades in. Creatures you control gain First Strike and Trample, and can't be blocked by creature tokens. Okay, so yeah, they're actually just totally safe on this attack. Yeah, I guess attacking with Inspector was bad, because the Legion Loyalist is face up, and I can't block these creatures effectively. I'm just going to take 6 and hope to draw my Whacker and kill them. Or draw a land for my Whacker. Jesus. Alright, maybe someday. Okay, Legion Warboss is Legion Loyalist is a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't block anyway. If they have a second Whacker, I lose. Just deciding how many creatures I want to attack with here. It's probably time to turn one of these Sentinels into more Goblins. Alright, I'll leave 1 Sentinel back to block. That keeps me alive. If they have Whacker. Yeah, I'm at 1 if they have a Whacker. Okay, opponent's at 7. I am going to demolish my Esper Sentinel. Invest in next turn. One of us is dead this turn cycle. Goblin Grenade, shit. That puts me to 2. Okay. They have a very different endgame than I do. Alright, I mean, that was disappointing, but we brought the ruckus on 1 land there for a while. Awkward. Okay. Renton Forge Tender looks good. Blossoming Calm seems like it would be a blowout. I don't know if we'll have room to do this, but if we stabilize, if we ever Blossoming Calm a Goblin Grenade, we win. Sanctifier Envec has protection from red, but Kevin specifically told me in our conversations that this is specifically for graveyard engines, and it's not really meant to be just a pro-red sticky body against lowered curve decks. And bringing in a bunch of white cards, so I don't need to worry about my white card count with Ranger Cap. Lowering the curve, getting more effective things in here. Yeah, even gain 2 life could be relevant. I'm gonna go with the Blossoming Calm. Gotta find one more cut here. The curve of this deck makes it really hard to see. There's so many 1-drops. Only thing I did in that game that really kept me in it was Force of Virtue. I'm not gonna cut any of that. And Loyalist seems important. That's how they won the game. Omat Courier is both a 1-drop and an artifact for all the synergies involved in all those things. Yeah, this is actually really tough. There's not a card I want to cut left. I'm tempted to cut a Rebirth or a Bushwhacker. Okay, I think Bushwhacker requires setup where Rebirth actually just gives me a board presence. Okay, this hand does not have an Anthem in it. It does have Raven Inspector and Esper Sentinel. I would like this hand better with an Anthem, but after what we saw last game, knowing that this is a mirror, I don't mind being like a little bigger here. And I'm leading on Sentinel in case they try to, like, hopefully this will just slow them down significantly. Epicure. Now I have Epicure. I think I want to fetch basic Mountain here to preserve my life total. What double white cards are in my deck? It's just hard casting Force. I boarded out the Ranger Cap. Okay, Epicure and Thraben Inspector coming in. I'm not going to give them Esper Sentinel for free here. All right, now it's their turn to have a Sunbaked Canyon game. Oh shit. Well, they brought in this card and I didn't. See if Urza Saga can save me. That's some tech I have that I hope they don't. There are no attacks here that I want to make. I could have bushwhacked and attacked with my white cards. I think I'm going to have to go wide around this thing. Epicure and they gain a life. Epicure doesn't target, so Blossoming Calm doesn't help me here. Full Demolition. They're targeting one of their bloods. Okay. Are they paying the 1? They are. Okay. I can loot with my blood token in response. What responses do I have? There basically aren't any. Okay. Well, then I won't make any. So I should have, on my digging, popped my clue and my blood token in response to Esper Sentinel trigger. Because if I find Virtue, I'm in business. I'm going to sack the clue. I think that having good cards in my hand right now is more important than larger constructs. Okay, Thraben Inspector comes in. I did draw the land, so I can activate Saga. We might just get shithouse this turn. I hope it doesn't happen. I do have a lot of blockers. Kinda hope they just start goblin bombing me, and then Blossoming Calm for the blowout. Okay, they are whacking this turn. Please don't also have Legion Loyalists, but they have it now. They would have missed the damage. Okay, I guess I'm fetching. I have to take the full spread of damage on this. My basic's already in play. Go to blocks. I can just block everything, leave Core Firewalker in play. I take 2 here, and I clear all their goblins, so Goblin Grenade doesn't work. I could leave back Esper Sentinel, take an extra damage, and I get to keep my Construct. That actually seems a lot better. Okay. I'm blocking all the goblins. I go to 10. I keep my Construct. It looks like I'm getting a turn. Get a 4/4, which will then become a 5/5. Omat Courier. I wish, buddy. I think it has to be a Mem Knight here. Mem Knight, not super hot, but not nothing either. And I get to attack with a 5/5. Protection from red, my foot. Smash to smithereens. Gonna cost an extra 1. Deal 3 damage to Artifacts Controller. Blossoming Calm doesn't help me there. I can gain a surprise 2 life. Didn't pay. that scary. You're just like, whatever, have your card, you're dead. It is another Bushwhacker. What can I do about this? They're going all the way in here. I have to block with Memnite, and I will also block with Esper Sentinel, which makes my construct small, but required at this point. Leaves me at 2. But this is where the Blossoming Calm blowout comes in. I hope. Nice, okay. Memnite grows the construct, Epicure grows the construct. I could rebirth the blood token. It makes the construct smaller, but gives me a board. Wait, are they dead? I guess is the question I should be asking. Okay, if I cast 2 spells, they go to 16. I'll have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Do I have them for Exacxes right now? All right, pulled out the Rebirth. Stacking blood token. I'm just going to check my math here because this is exciting if true. 6 1/1s makes 12 power, and then a 4 power creature makes 16. Let's go. Okay, we're doing it. They have like Gut Shot to gain 1 life, but it would cost 2 life to cast it. Okay, exactly 0. Yeah. Blossoming Calm rotting in my hand the whole time. I don't think that means it's wrong, but it didn't look right there. We also kind of saw why we were advised not to bring in Sanctifier. Core Firewalker is much better than Sanctifier because it has life gain attached to it. And we still won. Yeah, let's go. Going back in. That Urza Saga, absolutely clutch. That's something Kevin was trying out. There's only 2 in the list. It's just sort of like a thing you can do if you're stuck in a medium speed game, and it showed up strong there. Them having Smash to Smithereens is some BS, though. Okay, I'll keep this. Again, it doesn't have an Anthem, but it does dump out a bunch of creatures. And I don't want to risk mulligans against this mirror. I am the control deck, as far as I can tell. Oh god, you have Goblin Guide? I don't have this gear on my deck. Venerated Loxodon was revealed. It's exciting. Okay, Esper Sentinel, get in. Venerated Loxodon is the type of thing that can stabilize like a board against Goblin Guide. Secure, okay. Raven Inspector on top of my deck. Unfortunately, that would require me to fetch Shock again. That's a white card. Yuck. I did draw the Anthem I was looking for in Loxodon, but this Goblin Guide on the play start is super messed up. Lethal Demolition. I get a card here, but they get 3 goblins. I think we're a little too slow this time. Raven Inspector, go in. I cannot afford to fetch Shock here. I'm gonna drop an Epicure off my basic and hope to be alive next turn to do Loxodon stuff. Seems unlikely though. At least now I have blocks if I want to slow down on Loxodon. Which I don't, but I also can't go to 5 against this deck. Okay. Unless that's setting up another Rebirth. Loyalist. That doesn't change much. It gives Goblin Guide first strike. But only if they attack with Loyalist, which they will lose immediately. Goblin Guide. Revealed Memnite. Okay. That's good information to have. Blocking the Loyalist. These creatures all have first strike. I can double block one. And then Memnite, I would have 2 creatures going into the turn. Memnite gives me 3. I can Loxodon from there. The alternative is take the extra 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts me to 7. The extra 1 puts me to 6, which is still out of Goblin Grenade reach. But I would have an extra creature in play. I would, yeah, so I would untap with 3 creatures. Memnite makes 4. Esper Sentinel, I can convoke the whole squad for Loxodon. But then they can go wide around the Loxodon. Yeah, I think I need to eat what I can eat right now. Oh, this freaking Goblin Guide. It's been good for, what, 8 damage at this point? I guess it's only 6. It's only turn 3, but imagine if that was just some other creature without haste. And the Loxodon coming down now. Memnite, Sentinel, and am I going to win a game by bushwhacking? Or should I play Bushwhacker and have an extra 2/2 in play? Am I dead on board anyway? 1, 2, 3, 4. Dead to Lightning Bolt, dead to... I'm dead to basically everything anyway. in which case I will play my Whacker and just Convoke the maximum. These all get +1 counters, and I'm dead to any burn spell. And they're making the attack, so they clearly have it. They have enough goblins that I can't remove them all. I'll block Goblin Guide, and then probably die somehow. God, the Smash to Smithereens, is that the out? They're tapping 2 mana here. Yep, Smash to Smithereens it is. For exactly enough damage. If that Goblin Guide was anything else, if it came down on turn 2, if it didn't have first strike that turn it attacked, this was razor thin. If I'm on the play, I win this one. Ugh. Well, crazy that we pair into a freaking mirror match with this of all decks in round 1 of the league, but it was cool. On to the next one. If you've ever wanted to learn how to play poker, there's no better way than PokerCoaching.com's Master the Fundamentals course, which I'm excited to give all of you for free. This course is separated into 19 short sections that will make sure you understand everything you need to know to play well and beat your friends. The first section is on the rules of the game, then you'll learn about hand ranges, equity, basic strategies, and a whole lot more. By the end of the course, you'll know everything you need to know in order to give you the best chance of success at No Limit Hold'em. Check out the link in the video description to pokercoaching.com/free crash course. I'm on the play in round 2 with another 1-lander, but it has 6 power in it. I'm keeping this. Burn 1 6 power off of a 1-lander. Sign me up. And I think I want to Epic here for the extra damage. In Thraben Inspector anytime. Memnite. What a twist. Verdant Catacombs. And this is what we came here to do, right? Force of Virtue in the end step, bring the ruckus. Another Epicure, okay. Bash for 6. Epicure, take another one. 1-lander all in. Fetching, take another one. Overgrown Tomb, is this old defense mode Yawgmoth? Swimming Marsh, Overgrown Tomb. Disappointed this land didn't deal damage. My creatures are bigger than Tarmogoyf right now. I'm happy to pound into a Strangleroot Geist. Okay, it is Yawgmoth. A land. I will play it, but first I will deal 6 damage to my opponent. This also forces them to use the front half of Strangleroot Geist, which affects their combo. Thraben Inspector, let's go. Damage pumping, and I will play my land tap and pass the turn. They need to come up with another blocker or a removal spell here, or they're just dead on turn 3 through a Strangleroot Geist. Pew 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 pew. Path to Exile seems reasonable. I don't really want to slow down against this deck, but I can't actually beat the card Yawgmoth. Sanctifier, only part of their combo is black, and the important part is green. I don't think I'm going that route. Probably just the Ranger Captains again, and then in come the Paths. Or Pithing Needle can name Yawgmoth. That's something. And it can come in off Saga as well. I'll find a spot for Needle. First Strike on Legion Loyalist is good. I think I'll cut a Demolition. 6 of that effect still feels like enough. And I don't expect artifacts out of my opponent, so Rebirth is better. I don't expect artifacts or counterspells, but they are likely to have removal. I'm going to keep this hand. It has my Spicy Sideboard card in it. It's got a Demolition. Esper Sentinel's not bad either. Ignoble Hierarch is in the mix. And I am going to play the Sentinel. Evan gave me some cool tricks about sequencing to maximize for Loxodon Hierarch. Like an opponent's more likely to kill Esper Sentinel if they can than kill Thraben Inspector if we're trying to build up creatures for Convoke. But I'm mostly not trying to do that right now. I don't have the card. There's no rush. Oh, well, look at me swallowing my words, but I still have a gigantic Hierarch here. Inspiring Vantage. Thraben Inspector. Make the thing, the clue. I'm gonna Gleeful Demolition my clue. If they have Force of Vigor, I guess they can let me draw a card to stop this now, but forget about it. White. 1, 2, 3. Big ol' Hierarch. And do I want to trade my Memnite for the front half of this thing? No, I'll save it. That was a good turn. That was turn 2, folks. I have 15 power in play. It was turn 2. Oh god. Punishment for X equals 0. Alright, that kills my Memnite and my tokens, but I still have a thick board here. And I get to draw a card off it. I can attack into Strangleroot fearlessly with 2 of these 3 creatures. Ooh. I actually don't want to Path to Exile this creature. They're clearly having mana trouble, and I'm drawing cards off Sentinel while they struggle on their mana. If they find Yawgmoth at that point, I can clear out. Wooded Foothills in play. Thing Needle, name Yawgmoth. Wow, they're just done, not even interested. They must have had the Eldritch Evolution in hand, hoping to spike the land and do something next turn, but Needling Yawgmoth just shut it down. It was a 6-turn match. Played 2 games in 6 turns. Get out of here. Now we're cooking.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
I'm on the draw for round 3. I have another turn 2 Hierarch, or Loxodon, Venerated Loxodon. The Loxodon that I have the greatest memories of is a Hierarch. So if I call this Hierarch, that's what I'm talking about. And apologies ahead of time. I'll drop Esper Sentinel against this blue deck. Probably a good start, unless I get minor misstepped. Sure did. That hurts. Okay. That was a good play from my opponent. And play draw magic. Imagine if I had an Esper Sentinel in play already when they did that. Okay, I will try to bait with Raven Inspector first. That one got in. And Sacred Foundry. Play the Esper Sentinel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can't Hierarch, or I can't Loxodon after them picking off my 1-drop, but now I have a residual artifact to make Loxodon even more exciting. They're passing the turn. Ooh, Gleeful Demolition. That's good because this is a counterspell deck, and I can actually Gleeful Demolition. If they counter it, I can Kuldotha Rebirth. And if they counterspell here, I draw a card. The difference in text on these cards is actually coming up huge here. All right, that's in. And I'm going all the way in on creatures. I can then draw a card with Sunbaked Canyon. Perfectly normal stuff going on here. It's a shame it happened on turn 3 instead of turn 2 this time. Esper Sentinel, +1/+1 on that means I draw cards more often. Yeah! Okay, we've got Is It over there. There is. Ha 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 ha. Oh, okay. Bad jokes aside, Sanctifier and Beck. This is a deck that cares about its graveyard and has a ton of red removal. I don't think I want to do like Path to Exile for Murktide Regent. I think my plan is to just go way under Murktide Regent and make my opponent dead long before that matters. Once again, Ranger Captain is a pretty easy cut in my estimation here. And Kuldotha Rebirth being the one that's softer to counter spells, I think is the shave. And now we're at the deck building question of if I'm going to shave a Rebirth effect in most rounds, should I just be playing 6 to start with, or is it fine to load it up in the main deck and then make the sideboard work? Make the sideboard do its job? And I think that is the answer. I'm fine letting the sideboard do its job. Okay, once again, minor misstep is a concern, but it'll cost you your fetch to do it, and if you don't do it, I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. I am leading on my best card here. These other ones get picked off by Unholy Heat or Lightning Bolt. This at least replaces itself on the way through. Oh, Rockran Triumph. So we were playing against Control that just never off the ground last game. It wasn't Is It after all? Oh, am I about to get Ren and Sixth? No. Okay, not off an island. Ball of Omens. All right. My read was incorrect. I don't know what this is, but it's not Is It. Memnite is exciting. I think I want to go Urza Saga, Epicure, Memnite. I can use Urza Saga to activate my blood token and look for a way to push through this. And Saga is just generally good against these ponderous blue decks. Thanks for showing up, by the way, Memnite. Dingus. Could have attacked for 1 if you were in my hand last turn. Another Wall of Omens. This is a pretty good card to have in your deck against what I'm doing. Oh, the old Cascade Bluffs doesn't tap for any mana. That is the problem with that cycle of cards. I'm going to discard Mountain. I think my life total doesn't matter that much here. And now it doesn't matter because I drew Sacred Foundry. And I will lean all the way in on Saga, get full value out of that, make them respond to it. They could be setting up a Kiki Jiki. If they, like Wall of Omens in a Jeskai Shell, especially with Cascade Bluffs, this person's trying to get double or triple red out of their control deck. I should expect Restoration Angel to flicker a Wall of Omens in combat next turn that messes with combat and sets up a Kiki Jiki for the following turn. Yeah, there's land number 4. I did not come out nearly fast enough here. I just didn't know what the matchup was. Engineered Explosives. Would you like to pay 1? The Cascade Bluffs finally paying out. I'm going to make a construct in the end step. I'm not going to make one on my turn. That one doesn't help. Didn't bring in Needle. At least I don't have to think about Restoration Angel this combat. They should pop now in case I have a Needle. They've done it successfully. Which is great because I think everything I can search for... Oh, Bromat Courier. Never mind. I was about to say everything I can search for costs 0. But Bromat Courier is actually insane here. I'm going to play Sanctifier Envec. Not that I think it's good anymore, but it's what I've got. And I'll move to combat. My haste creature does get me through for 1. Start investing in success under the Bromat Courier. And Thraben Inspector get in. Off we go again. If they have Kiki Jiki, they can just shove it and start copying Wall of Omens. I don't think I can beat that, even if they're not going infinite. But if they're on like counter spells and stuff, they're in trouble. They Supreme Verdict, they're not in trouble at all. They just fetched twice on their own turn, then passed. Should I be worried about that? What does that mean? I'm going to play Thraben Inspectors, 2 of them. And that lets me Bromat Courier for card advantage. Okay. If you have the Angel, you got me. You have Settle the Wreckage, you got the shit out of me. Solitude, sure. Solituding Bromat Courier. Do I want to flip Sanctifier Envec for a random card? Yeah, now that I know they're not really this kind of deck, I kind of do. Ooh, Venerated Loxodon. That was a good one. Other card gets exiled forever, and then Solitude gets to eat Esper Sentinel, and they take 0 damage, and I'm in a lot of trouble. Got it. They take -2 damage from this combat. Yeah, that was a good Solitude. Probably should have seen that coming a mile away, and just chose not to. What's the play then? Is it just attack with Bromat Courier? They're doing the thing that these attacking decks do extremely well, which is, or these wall decks, is you have to commit to big attacks to get through wall, and then you get blown out by Solitude. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. I just found a Loxodon, which lets me do what I want to do, which is Anthem my team, counterspell. I'm going to draw a card with Clue in response. Pretend I have something I can do here. Urza Saga. Not upset about that one. Bang. Urza Saga presents a new sort of problem for them. And I can crack another Clue this turn. Yeah, Solitude needs to start bashing. They could have Restoration Angel on the Solitude. The whole engine is online here. Ephemerate gets me. I draw with a Clue. Bushwhacker, okay. For Sentinel. This one I can cast and get it under the Urza Saga. I don't think I attack this turn. They're showing Solitude. Resto Angel, which is a card I expect to be in their deck, is a Omega Blowout. They get to block 2 of my creatures and exile another one. It's just another Solitude. Shoot up my Esper Sentinel. I think we're past the point in this game where it's reasonable to expect to win, but I am going to keep playing out. And then I'll sideboard out these Sanctifier Envecs that don't do anything. Uh-oh, triple red in the pool. Here comes the Kiki. Yeah, this is not a card I can beat. Just copying Solitudes, deleting my entire world. Okay, Pithing Needle coming in. The Sanctifiers back out. That was just an incorrect read. At the Exile, I don't hate. They are a Kiki combo deck. They are creature based. Ramping them is awful, but removing their stuff for 1 mana is good. Yeah, I think this is how I want to approach this. Ranger Captain is a 2-for-1, but it doesn't seem like Supreme Verdict is the kind of way that they're interacting with me. Yeah, I'll do it this way. Gotta get him dead, though. Can't keep a slow hand. Gotta mulligan this. Okay. I'll keep this and send one of the demolitions. This is a turn 2 Loxodon. Oh, no, it isn't. Shit. Because, oh, yeah, it is. No, is it? Yes. I just can't Bushwhacker. I have to use a land for white because my artifact I want to destroy is also my white on Convoke. Okay, let's see if they want to misstep my demolition. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't have it. Yeah, it's not here. Okay, I'm just going to kick Bushwhacker and attack for 4. I don't care if they minor misstep this, and it puts real damage on the board. In the meantime, I'm working up to this Loxodon. And my math... Why was my math so bad there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, like Thraben Inspector wasn't involved to give me an extra game item. I don't know why I thought I could do that. Prismatic Ending. I could force a Virtue to draw a card. That loses my Loxodon, which I'm currently a long way away from making use of here. I actually am going to do this. I think drawing a card here, because I don't have an artifact to sacrifice to Gleeful Demolition, and we're in dangerous range of just having a handful of cards I can't use. Another Demolition. Not happy with that, but I am a card deeper in my deck. Saga I'm happy to find. Yeah, if I didn't pitch that Elephant to the Force there, then my turn would have been attack for 1 with 2 demolitions and Force Loxodon in my hand. Yeah, I'm happy with the decision I made, even if I'm not happy that they had the clean answer. Another ending, sure. There's a Saga. It's your job. You got to win this game. Another Rockrin Triumph from my opponent. Just no play this turn. Spending no mana on turn 3 is really tough. Ooh. That's good for later. I am disappointed that it's in my hand. But it is an artifact I can throw into play. I can name Kiki Jiki with it in the medium game. At least take that angle off the deck. Come on. They're giving me nothing. And the Pithing Needle's in my hand, so I can't even, like, walk them into messing up on the Saga. I got them with the Memnite, or no, I had the Bomat Courier. That's where this is going. They float mana. Should explode now. Did explode now. And it's Bomat Courier time. Bomat Courier get into play. Pithing Needle with my floating mana. That's going to name Kiki Jiki. Or it's going to name nothing at all. Cool. Alright, Bromat. Keep the pain coming here. No white card to pitch. No artifacts to destroy. Sad time over here. Wall of Omens. Bomat Courier, as far as creatures that deal no damage do, Bomat Courier lines up well against Wall. Opponent missed a land drop, which means they have 4 spells in their hand. I'm going to play my land tapped before combat, because if I need to Bomat, I don't want to lose the land. What's happening here? Lightning Helix. My hand doesn't do anything. Yeah, I think I gotta take my medicine here. They don't gain 3 life. Bushwhacker that was underneath. Yeah, this is rough. Playing against this, like, 2010 Jeskai control deck is eating me into the ground. I would prefer Is It Murktide? Another Rebirth. Yeah, we're just running into the fail rate of the deck now, which is what happens if you don't have an artifact at the time you have Rebirth. Archmage Charm, they're starting to pull ahead. Still missing land drops, which is actually horrifying, because that means their hand is full of spells. Epicure is good. This, I'm going to sandbag this Rebirth until I can Bushwhack on the same turn, which might be next turn. Uh-oh, there's Resto. We are in danger of being dead. Kiki Jiki's in their hand, and a land, we lose. Another Wall of Omens. Good. Still showing Counterspell. They're not afraid of attacking here. That makes me nervous. Okay, Kuldotha Rebirth. Sacrifice Blood Token. Show me the Counterspell. Minor misstep. Even worse. I guess I'm passing here. And I hope they do go for Kiki GK on their turn and get blown out. No such luck. And minor misstep against this deck is unreasonable. Just gonna pat the Angel now. That it gives them land number 5, but it cuts off the Kiki combo. And I'm just dying to this thing. Alright, I'm done. We're not coming back into this. They have 7 cards in their hand. Yeah, minor misstep. Hell of a problem for the deck with 35 1-drops in it. And backed up by Lightning Helix, Wall of Omen. It's like my opponent built their deck to not lose to Kuldotha Red today, and they didn't. On to the next one. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on Moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw against a Gigantha deck, which could be Death Shadow. I'm going to keep... This is a 1-lander, but it slaps. It's got generated Loxodon, multiple things that generate 2 objects. I am not worried about Ragavan with this hand. How many game pieces can I put in front of Ragavan? I get a Sacred Foundry here. And unfortunately, Inspector is my only other white card. I'm not pitching my Loxodon. Epicure and Memnite get in. Because Force of Virtue backing up Thraben Inspector 2-3 just straight up eats Ragavan. Consumes it. Okay. Grix is confirmed. I'm getting Thought Seized. Do I want to put Force of Virtue onto the stack right now? I don't think that I do. I don't need to. And that would basically give them 3 cards off the Thought Seized, and Force of Virtue doesn't matter if I don't have creatures, which I would lose most of if I execute that play. I think they'll just take my Loxodon and be done with it. Yep, that is what happened. Yep. Offering the Ragavan trade makes sense because it's not a very good blocker, and they can see that I'm a critical mass deck stuck on 1 land, and they have another Ragavan. That's a good reason too. I hope I draw a white card here. So not upset about a land either. Always had it. Epicure, get a poke in there. Thraben Inspector, hang back. They are a Death Shadow deck, which, what does that mean for me? I'm just gonna pass here. I don't want to help them lower their life total in low increments. Like, poking for 1 could actually help them get a Death Shadow into play or make it bigger than my creatures. I'm gonna lose the Bushwhacker here. And if they get too fast and loose with their life total, I could just go wide around a Death Shadow. No attack. Art. Legion Loyalist. How do you feel about first strike and trample on all my creatures? I feel good about it. Loyalist, Epicure, and Memnite are attacking. I have to leave 1 back out of respect for Ragavan. I don't want to. This opens up Unholy Heat or Lightning Bolt. I can live with that. So at least make them have it, and then Ragavan's not back on blocks. They didn't have it. Could be Drowned in the Loch. They want to commit all the mana on their turn to getting a Ragavan swing through, and Ragavan can't block anyway. It should attack. I guess all else being equal, I should have left back Epicure. Or they just have nothing again. I'm going to use a Blood and try to turn this Force of Virtue into something helpful. I'm going to play my land and make the attack I should have made last turn. Leaving back Epicure this time, because a 1/2 doesn't matter compared to a 1/1 against the removal in their deck. Press down. Okay. All right. So they can trade with Legion Loyalist. Okay, cool. Maybe should have done this pre-combat, but I'm going to draw a card with my clue. Does that matter? Or should I play around discard? Because I could draw a card and then loot with blood next turn versus find another 1-drop now. But I'm going to use my clue now. Disappointing. Okay, I'll pass the turn. That's 2 Ragavans down without really doing anything, so I'm happy with that arrangement. Just bobbled me. They know what I'm going to see off my blood token, which I am going to use to turn this Wooded Foothills into a magic card. Blood. Rebirth. Okay. Rebirth is actually cracked here. That means I get to attack with all my creatures. Okay, they're just picking off the artifact now. Was the correct thing to do. 3/4. I can attack for 1 and play Loxodon, or I can buff both my creatures with Loxodon and attack for 0 this turn. I think that's better. So being at 6, facing down, this is what I was talking about before with those little pokes for 1. I could just make Death Shadow bigger. I'm going to make my creatures bigger. Yeah, if they hadn't terminated, I had the attack for 3, and then second main, make 3 goblins, and then make Loxodon. Loxodon is bigger than this if they don't have a shadow to go with it. Loxodon is always bigger than Fatal Push. Cannot get high enough. I'm going to fetch in the end step that last fetchable land out of my deck to draw Iron Epicure. Okay. This is a bunch of goblins, second main, and an extra damage they don't know about. That means I attack with everything. If they try to get cute with DRC, they go to 1 and they die. Cool. Bang. That cure was epic. Okay, against Grixis Shadow. The Sanctifiers come in here. This is a deck full of red removal and cards that care about your graveyard. Force of Virtue actually seems super mid here, which might seem weird to say because that's what the deck is about. But going down 2 cards against Shadow, which is a Thoughtseize counterspell deck, I'm not going to cut them all, but I think I can go a lot lower than I am. Or at least a lot lower than the main deck. Rebirth is worse than Demolition in this matchup. If I'm targeting a Memnite, they are equally bad, but if I'm using any of my residual artifact tokens, Rebirth is worse. Do I want to mess around with Path to Exile or March of Otherworldly Light to fight the shadows? Their creatures are significantly larger than mine. If I go wide, that doesn't matter as much. Blossoming Calm also lines up against Thoughtseize, so I'm planning to just tap out a lot. Okay, let's lock in this change at least. The Sanctifiers are in. Do I want to start moving Ranger Caps around for other things? Though this is a matchup full of removal and counterspells where Ranger Captain's ability is actually just good. If I can set up a Kuldotha Blast and just silence them and then crunch for a gajillion. Also a 2-for-1. Yeah, okay. I'm just doing the Sanctifiers here, keeping it light. I like my hand. I'm gonna keep it. I'm not gonna chase a spicy 5 against the Thoughtseize deck. That's just not how I'm gonna play Magic here on this channel, basically ever. Even though this hand isn't really blazing out, there's no turn 2 Loxodon here. We might not have one anyway, if they just Fatal Push my creature or Thoughtseize my elephant. They kept their card on top with Dragon's Rage Channeler. Drew it with Bauble. And I'm going to put Esper Sentinel into play. This one just has the biggest impact on the game right now at a time where they can't counter it. They're a 1-for-1 deck, and if I can get a card off of any of their 1-for-1s, their whole plan starts to fall apart. Didn't offer the trade, though. They just passed, made a land drop, passed. I think I want to go Epicure and Inspector here. All of this is setting up exciting Legion Loyalist turns in the future. I want to play Bomat Courier last. And I'm not going to offer to trade Esper Sentinel for Dragon's Rage Channeler. We both value our 1-drop. too much to attack with it. That's interesting. Either we both just value having our engine online more than not having an engine online, or one of us is wrong. People of the Mirror Breaker, that draws me a card, get paid. M Knight, hello. Would be an excellent time to come up with Loxodon. You know what this Goblin Shaman token is? It's a token. Legion Loyalist can bash through that. Loxodon. Oh, Loxodon. Okay. Ranger Captain is available. That's exciting. I'm going to fetch my basic. And I'm just going to bring the pain here. Bomat Courier, Legion Loyalist, light them up. All my creatures can attack. They don't have good blocks on any of them. And saving my Epicure for second main in case they go to 1. Which is not possible on this attack, but it's exciting to think about. Because it happened once already. I expect just no blocks take 5 here, unless they decide Dragon's Rage Channeler has done its job and needs to just go away. Okay, wow. Unless they can get 2 card types in the graveyard all of a sudden, they don't think can be done. If they end up Delirious on their turn, this won't be able to block anyway because it has to attack. Alright, yeah. Dragon's Rage Channeler just dying for the cause here. And I will dump out all of the idiots. Here are all my dipshits. Go. Fable gets to do Fable stuff. They need a sweeper to contend here. Even just if they play out like 2 Death Shadows here, I think I still win that race. Discarded Base of Surgery and Underworld Breach. Casting Mishra's Bauble into my Esper Sentinel. You want your mana, or what's going on here? Okay, they paid. Bobbling yourself with your fetch land. A Shadow, there's 1. It's a 4/4. Shadow, there's 2. Alright, we're about to test my theory if dumping out 2 shadows is good here. Watery Grave tapped. Okay, a pair of 5/5s. A 2/2 that can't block. So you might as well attack with it. Yes, okay, that is the correct play. That gives them treasure token and something for me to think about. When it's at 8, draw a card. I draw a card. There's a Saga, okay. That means I can tutor and play a red 1-drop right now. Red or colorless 1 or 0 drop. I don't have enough white mana to get a Sentinel. Bushwhacker doesn't do anything. I get a second Loyalist for a haste creature. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies coming through. They go to 3. Okay, I think I need to play Saga, play Ranger Cap, and try to set up a win next turn. I can tutor for a backup Loyalist. Epicure deals 1 now. Gives me another blood for next turn. I don't really want to deal 1 now, though. Get a backup Loyalist. I think I need Bushwhacker. Yeah, I'm going to put Bushwhacker in my hand and invest in next turn. 1 mana short to do what I want to do here. Fable will flip into Reflection this turn. They've got this pair of Death Shadows that are not lethal. I can block and kill Goblin Shaman now with my 3/3. I can silence them next turn if I have a lethal attack. If I draw a land, I can make a Construct token and then Bushwhack. I don't know if they can afford to pay for this. Nope, they can't. Hierarch is in my grip. Hoping the game doesn't go to a point where this Hierarch matters, but it's fun to grind if things go wrong here. Found an Unholy Heat. What does this do? Kills my Ranger? Kills Loyalist, sure. Okay, Loyalist is gone. They have black available, 3 cards in their hand. I think I actually want to blood away the Hierarch, or the Loxodon. The Hierarch, yes, the Hierarch. That is what that card is. Found another one, okay. Very interested in an untapped mana source right now. I specifically said untapped. Stupid Magic Online. Never does what I want. Okay. Time to assess the board. We have 4 blockers. 1, 2, 4 attackers. They would take 4 and be alive. I guess we are playing another turn here. Inspiring. Should not have played Inspiring Vantage. 1, 3, 4, 5. Just go in. Maximum elephant size. I should have saved this Inspiring Vantage. I'm not going to use it this turn, and it's a great use of blood token. But I get to make a construct here. Seem to be tapping mana. What does this do? I'm going to drown in the lock. Right, so I draw a card off that. guaranteed because I have a 2-power creature. And then, okay, they've killed my Ranger, which was the biggest creature they could kill. Drew a land to go off with Blood Token. That's good. Kiki Jiki is awake now. I like this Kiki Jiki more than I like the one I played against last round. That one was bullshit. Esper Sentinel is 2/2 versus their 4 total mana. It would cost them their whole turn if they want to like EI and pay. Underworld Breach. That's a powerful card. I get to draw a card. Virtue, which I can hardcast. That's cool. So they can like kill one of my creatures, then play Bauble a few times. Okay, they shocked in a Blood Crypt from their hand. They could Dragon's Rage Channeler first, and then Bauble creates a mill, which could... They are doing it this way. They get to replace a card every time they cast a card. The next thing they escape, though, they're going to lose Delirium. And then Unholy Heat only kills Bomat Courier on my board. Or you can use Reflection of Kiki Jiki to copy Dragon's Rage Channeler. Then you get 2 cards every time you Bauble. Does that actually go anywhere? I don't think so. Alright, Unholy Heat on my Bomat Courier. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to be able to force a Virtue this turn. I'm going to have to block with Urza Saga token and Venerated Loxodon just to not die. Here's the Bauble as the last card off the Breach. That was a pretty good value Breach. Yeah, I don't think I Virtue here. Regardless, I just need the Saga token. Is just going to do way more. So Breach dies. Let's get that out of the way. And then I can flood away this land. Esper Sentinel. More creatures are always welcome for this incoming Alpha Strike. Construct token. They draw for Bauble. I drew. There are still fetchable lands in my deck. That's good. I would like all my mana this turn for a Construct, an Esper Sentinel, and the Whack. Verifying there is a fetchable land in my deck. Yeah, 2 Sacred Foundries. That's what I thought. Tutor up Memnite. Play Esper Sentinel. Land, fetch, and Bushwhack. We're at 6. I have roughly infinite attackers. Unless this deck started playing Darkness, I think we're good. I guess I could have Minor Misstep for the Whacker. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 attackers. That should be enough. Splat. They're copying a Death Shadow. That's the same number of blockers. That doesn't actually change anything. None of these creatures have lifelink. They're carefully lining up blockers like it matters. I'm trying to think of what they could even have. Is it Force of Despair? The black one in the cycle? That they wouldn't be lining up the blocks that they are, if that's what they had. It's not there. It's not even close. And opponent goes to -10 on this gigantic attack. Hooked for some early damage, then pivoted into a Venerated Loxodon Urza Saga mid-game, and then overwhelmed them in the late game. I'm impressed by the grinding power, and these exactly 2 Urza Sagas have been awesome. On to the final round, we got a positive record to play for. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. On the play in the final round, positive record on the line. Gonna mulligan this 6-lander. That's an easy one. And I'll keep this fast Loxodon. I don't think I need Rebirth and Demolition. I'll send away Demolition and keep Rebirth. Okay, so I have to lead on Thraben Inspector here if I want my Loxodon on turn 2. I wouldn't have to if Urza Saga was a different land, but it's not. So this is what I got. Don't Thoughtseize me. Oh, Tron. Okay, we're just going to race. I'm to go as fast as possible. Tilt on drawing the Inspiring Vantage, though it does give me an extra creature for Loxodon. Esper Sentinel, go in. I wish I had the Sentinel last turn to draw an extra card, but I'm not going to be greedy. Blue, turn into some goblins, and completely normal modern turn 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14. Haywire Might's actually really good here, but it's not Sylvan Scrying. If they have turn 3 Tron, it's going to be natural. They do gain 2 life after absorbing 4 damage here. They can't exile Esper Sentinel. I'm saving Urza Saga for second main, or else they would get a free exile here. Yeah, this isn't a thing. This exiles non-creature artifacts. They popped off their green. I hope they needed that next turn in my excellent sportsmanship that I'm showing here. Here's my target for Haywire Might, second main, and Raymond Inspector lets me use all my mana, making and then popping a clue. Oblivion Stone costs 8, right? Or is it 7? Uh-oh. I think it's 8. Yeah, it's 3 to cast, 4 to Fate counter, 5 to pop. Barn doesn't get them out of this. Ugin costs 8, O-Stone costs 8. Wormcoil Engine would be a beast. Alright, they didn't have Wormcoil. Cool. Running over Tron. I like doing that. Ending Needle is the only thing that resembles sideboard tech for Tron. Tron really doesn't do any fetching or ramping in the traditional way where Tunnel Ignis would be good. March to exile their Expedition map. I don't think that's the way. Yeah, this one's just about speed. We are in just a straight up foot race, and Ranger Captains could be good. Yeah, if I just silence them on their turn, that stops most of the things they would do. Or Path to Exile for Wormcoil, I guess, is a consideration. Do I have 3 cuts, is the thing. Because anything I cut slows the deck down. Ooh, this is a big matchup for a Gleeful Demolition as just destroy target artifact. Legion Loyalist, maybe. In the Wormcoil tokens are tokens, but everything else in their deck is bigger than my stuff. First Strike and Trample will never matter against Tron. Yeah, I think Legion Loyalist can go here. And I'm going to run it like this. As much respect as I can give to Wormcoil and to Oblivion Stone. This one does have 2 pumps in it. It's not exactly blazing fast, but I am going to keep it. Okay, they're on Sphere instead of Map again. That land was not one that I wanted. Sacred Foundry, zap it in. Thraben Inspector, let's go. Using their Sphere. Do they have second Tron piece? Okay. I mean, Blast Zone sucks. They do have Sylvan Scrying. It's not turn 3 Tron. I'm going to cast Force of Virtue now. I need to start just putting damage on my opponent. Okay, there's a Demolition. A little late to the party. I could demo this turn and whack next turn. Yeah, I guess I'll just attack for 2 and Demolition. If they have Engineered Explosives, they got me. But this gets under Blast Zone. And Bushwhacker still does the damage next turn. I don't have to make it a surprise. And this clears the way for any other 1-drop I draw. There's the Turd Boiler. And Haywire Might. No green mana, though. But don't make green mana. Stop! Okay, fine. Alright, that's a great target for Haywire Might. I'll fetch in the end step. Would like to draw another 1-drop to deliver a large punch here. Another Force could come up next turn. They can't trade with one of my creatures and kill my Force. It's one or the other. Or they can't trade at all, so they are going to eat the Force, but I will at least do a bunch of damage without losing any creatures. And this 4-mana start, unfortunate 4-mana start, is going to use all its mana. Haywire Might gains 2 life and sucks a bunch of damage off the board. Opponent takes 8 here, down to 12. Do have 10 damage on board. They do have Tron. Okay, so they either found it or just didn't need it on curve and spent the time to put Blast Zone in. Blast Zone kills my 1-drops. Barn Liberated. What are you going to do with this? Just choose a creature to get rid of? Alright, I'll exile Arid Mesa from my hand. Give myself a chance to draw another land. Relic of Progenitus doesn't matter. I'm actually not going to fetch here because drawing the land lets me play the Virtue. Punished. Okay. I will attack my opponent with my creatures. I have to ignore this Karn. That's just not a game plan. And I'll pitch Path to Exile and hope they don't have Wormcoil Engine. If they have plus Karn on me. They tap the Blast Zone to cast a Chromatic Star. They must have a bigger plan this turn. I hope it's not Ugin. Sylvan Scrying, okay. What does this do in this context? It's them green mana. If they have like Thrag Tusk, that's kind of annoying. Arn the Great Creator. Okay. Can this get engineered explosives? That the last card with exactly enough mana to do it. Haywire Might. That's so fucking annoying. Okay. When it dies, you gain 2 life. So if I path it, it's yeah, alright. Haywire Might was a good one. They're gonna get the Force of Virtue out of my hand. And I'm gonna path Haywire Might. They could destroy their own relic, gain 2 life, and then they don't ramp. Arn can reset the game next turn. Alright, I'm gonna path Haywire Might and just try to top deck 2 damage somehow. Path to Exile on this thing. And they are destroying their own relic to gain the life. I gotta top deck 4 damage. I think it's all the same draws that get me from 2 damage to 4 damage. Basically need a Bushwhacker. Whacker! Oh my god! Sometimes you spike your 3-outer in your red deck. Easy game. Who has the Tron luck now? All creatures attack my opponent. Bang! A positive record. 3-2. Our losses were to the Mirror Match and to 2011 Jeskai Control with Wall of Omens and Lightning Helix. Never beating that one. This deck is sweet. The explosiveness is there. The grinding power is there too. Like the Urza Saga. The 2 Urza Saga is somehow just the perfect number. Great job on that one, Kevin. Honestly, Force of Virtue, I think, was the card that I think did the least. Pitching 2 cards felt bad, and the effect it had on the game was it was big, but I think you could play 2 or 3 of that and open up some slots for other things. Maybe another Bomat Courier. I think we're playing all the 1-drops that bring artifacts with them, the Epicure, the Inspector, and the Sentinel. I'd almost rather have some reach spell. Like we could play a Goblin Grenade or a Lightning Bolt or something in the Force of Virtue spot, or yeah, I don't know. I would have to think about a lot more than I'm thinking about it right now to figure out exactly what tool this deck needs. But if there's another cheap aggressive creature that's also an artifact, which we only have 1 Bomat Courier, we could go up to 2 there, and we're already in the correct zone. That's what I'm thinking on that. The Loxodon was insane. The Bushwhacker was good. Having access to 7 Kuldotha Rebirths was insane. And perfect number on the Urza Saga. I know I keep saying that, but it's still true. I'm just really impressed by how often those 2 of Urza Sagas were hyper relevant in the games we played. And that's where I'm going to leave that. This was Kuldotha Boros, and it was a lot of fun and really impressive how fast it went and how well it could grind. Great deck, Kevin. I hope my insights were helpful to you. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Patreon and all the other stuff in the channel description that supports the channel, and I'll see you next time.